working session packet didn't get sent out, so it's on the table in front of you. I have the enrollment report listed there. The preschool numbers are the same as last month. K6, we're at 223. That's an increase of 3 from March, and we're up 2 since September. High school is at 208. That's down 3 from March and down 9 since September. Total K-12, we're at 431, and that's down 1 from March and down 7 since September. COVID update, we continue to see low numbers of positive cases, as well as few getting tested at the school. We've had 3 positive cases so far in the month of April. Positive cases were reported on April 7th, 21st, and 22nd. And I didn't get it in time, but I got a graphic on hospital numbers, and they've ticked up slightly across the state. And that's something that's being reported across the state. So, but our numbers continue, in my opinion, to be low, and we'll just continue on with the status quo. Staff appreciation days. We will be recognizing a number of school professionals the next few weeks. Wednesday, April 27th is Administrative Professionals Day. So that would include Crystal and Harley and Cece and Mary Daly and Tracy Cook and Diane Lane. And I'm not sure where I would stick my activities director. We'll throw her in there too. So just that's all. Yes.
Do I get my own day if I don't do all of
Yes. There might be an activities director day. If there isn't, there should be. So I just want to recognize and do a shout out for them, because they really make sure that the school runs and we have money and people get paid and all those good things. And so thanks to them. And then on Tuesday, May 3rd is Teacher Appreciation Day. Actually, the Teacher Appreciation Week is May 2nd through the 6th. But May 3rd is the Teacher Appreciation Day. And we got a couple things working in the planning stages right now as far as recognizing our teachers. We're trying to get them an extra prep sometime during the week or the following week. So, and then we'll be having goodies and stuff in the workrooms. And then Friday, May 6th is Lunch Hero Day. So that would be all of our cooks and people that do the point of sale. So those are the things that we'll be recognizing, or the people we'll be recognizing. There are cards here, so make sure. It looks like everyone's gone around and signed it. Any questions on any of that? Did I miss anything, Harley?
I don't think so.
So Harley's been kind of helping coordinate things, and Lisa Olson also was helping with a few things on that note too.
Is there going to be anything in the newspaper on that, you know? Or do they...
We'll be putting something in the paper and on social media and the website as well.
They make the recommendation of Lunch Hero Day, you put Larry in there also.
Good point, yeah. Oh. Larry's our go-to guy when someone spills or drops their tray, so you bet.
He's the enforcer of the lunchroom.
Oh yeah, yeah. On the elementary side of things, early childhood screening is this Friday, April 29th, and that's available to children ages 3 through 5, and it's used to assist parents and school staff in improving educational and emotional readiness for children, hopefully by detecting any learning or health concerns at an early age. It's also a Minnesota requirement for all children entering kindergarten. State assessments, and I think Mary's going to touch on this a little bit in her report, for grades 3 through 6 and the high school is in progress, running through May, or mid-May. Freshwater summer camp for the elementary will be running 2 sessions this summer, June 6th through the 10th and June 13th through the 17th. I added some information on letters training, because we've been talking for a number of years about our lagging reading scores in the elementary, and this is one of our main things that we're doing to address our reading proficiency. So research shows that only 35% of students are reading proficiently, but 95% of students can learn to read. And while teachers are the most essential factor in student success, only about half of teaching institutions effectively prepare teachers for literacy instruction. And that's a quote from Dr. Motes. So I don't think teachers aren't given all they need coming out of college to really be effective reading teachers. So the letters, language essentials for teachers of reading and spelling, is a research-based training session. There's 2 years of it. There's 8 units. It's pretty intensive for the teachers, but we have all of our elementary classroom teachers involved with this. That's teachers K through 6. We have our 2 reading specialists and some of the special education teachers. So a total of 17 staff in the elementary have completed volume 1, and that's units 1 through 4 during this current year. And we will continue on with volume 2, units 5 through 8. I have a misprint in my report, sorry about that, during the next school year. And we also have some staff that will be starting volume 1 as well, and those are some of our special ed staff that didn't participate this year. So it's each unit. I can send you a breakdown on how much time is involved with it, but each unit also has 2 3-hour online sessions with a trainer. So it is pretty time consuming. There's a push at the legislature now to allocate funding specific for this letters training. So it's something that's coming from the state and MDE, and I think we're kind of ahead of the trend right now by offering it to all of our elementary staff in the school. And curriculum update, Mary will be talking a little bit about that. I got my schedule for this week listed there, and then I have the rest of April board meetings and meetings into May, and then we're done for the school year with kids, and then just finish out in June and start the new year in July. That's all I have. Any questions?
Tell me, our school, hopefully we're doing better than 35% of the kids reading proficiently, or are we not? I assume this is a national average.
That's a national average. Minnesota usually does a little bit better than the national average. So when you look at our reading comprehension for our MCAs, grades 3 through 6, in general, we've been below the state average a little bit.
Teachers do this training? Can
Excuse
only
me?
teachers, like certified teachers, or could like parents?
I
take the
think
training for-
anyone with an interest, and I don't have off the top of my head it is a little costly. I mean, it's an investment, but we're using our staff development funds for it. And
Do they get any certification or anything that goes with it?
they
Just
get
curious
a
about
certificate after each unit,
Uh-huh.
and there is, if they want, they can become certified trainers. And I don't know off the top of my head
Okay.
any additional things, but this could lead to.
But they don't become like a reading specialist or anything?
No.
No. Okay. That was kind of what I was
Yeah.
asking.
And it's one of the identified key trainings on addressing dyslexia.
I mean, I think it's really good. I'm not questioning that at all.
The feedback I'm getting from staff that it's really good.
Yeah.
So.
I think going back to this, Louisa Motes, half the teaching institute, or only half the teaching institutions effectively prepare teachers for literacy instruction. So I hope the teaching institutions step it up a little bit so that you don't necessarily have to do it when they're already teaching.
That's why I've always said elementary teachers should have their reading specialists, because that adds a lot to it. But even our 2 reading specialists say that there's stuff in the letters training that they did not get when they got their reading specialist. So it's a really good program.
Good.
If you have new staff come on, are they-
Where the plan is, at least in the elementary, my plan is that we would sign them up, and
get them going
that's going to be the new standard for our elementary teachers. As long as I'm principal in the elementary, that's what I'd like to see happen. So.
All right. Anything else for the superintendent? Then we'll move on to the high school principal.
Hey, good evening. As Jeff made reference to, MCA testing is in progress. Diane does an amazing job with getting it scheduled and organized, and getting the kids who happen to be absent tested for the makeup test right away. So yeah, it's busy and crazy, but it's going well. And you know, our hopes are, after the past couple years with COVID and just really, and I'm speaking for the high school kids, really helping them to see the importance of testing well. Tomorrow our 8th graders test, and I'm going to go in and speak to them before they test. Because when COVID came around, those are the test results that were used to determine if they could take college level courses. So you might not think it's important. Well, our 10th and 11th graders, when they look back at those scores from 7th and 8th grade and they weren't good, it was a big disappointment. So hopefully even that little bit will help be the care that our kids need. Lots of things going on between now and the end of the school year. Prom is this Saturday, and baccalaureate is this Wednesday in the auditorium, so it's just wonderful to have everything going with not having to limit people coming into the building. Our awards night is May 18th at 6 o'clock in the auditorium, and that's awards recognition, it's scholarships, and it's honor society induction. So busy night, fun night. And then our senior trip is May 12th through the 14th. And graduation the 27th. Summer school for the high school will be 2 weeks, June 6th through the 17th. And you know, our focus is credit recovery. I'm happy to say I don't see the same numbers as we were facing last year, so that's good. I will see it being higher for our 7th and 8th graders than our high school kids. So that's our good news is, after last summer and getting our kids on track with the credit recovery, I think it's made a difference. And let's face it, being in the building every day has been wonderful. Moving to curriculum, the Savas, so our new reading curriculum, we had additional training opportunities for the elementary teachers, which were the 6th and 13th of April, and it was recorded, so if teachers were unable to attend it, we had access for them to the recordings. And then to piggyback on what Jeff was saying about the letters training, last week, the week before, that I went to the Minnesota Indian Education Association conference. Our couple of our parents were unable to attend, so Kirby and I had the opportunity to go. Incredible conference. I wasn't looking forward to being out of the building that long, but it was a wonderful conference, good breakout sessions, and interestingly enough, Kirby went to the one that was on letters training, so it is a very reputable program, and I will say, to hear our elementary teachers outside of it, how they appreciate it, and it's a big commitment. I mean, when they're here, it's a full day every time that they spend. So to know how much they appreciate the training and can see the benefit, and it ties in with the new reading curriculum that we purchased. So it's not like it's a standalone that the teachers are doing. And then math curriculum, we'll be looking at next year to address that. So I'll have meetings with elementary teachers to look at that with the review cycle. FIED was up, so as far as when I say up for the review cycle, looking at standards and aligning, and it was actually 2 summers ago and then again last summer that Mr. Sather and Mr. Storbeck met and looked at the curriculum. I'll say with FIED, our big need is more replenishing, worn out
equipment and just supplies for our fire department, but as far as following the standards and all that, we're on board with that. And I think that's it. Any questions? Okay, thank you.
All right. Business office.
So we just went through the budget report for March and addressed some of the areas where the percentages were over the 100%. Most of them are minimal. One of them was like for dental insurance. It shows that it's 57.45% over budget, but it's just a small dollar amount. The budget's like $1,000 and it's $1,500. For property insurance, it's slightly over, but that's going to be the final dollar amount there, and that has to do with the workers' comp. Once they do an audit every year, then it's determined if we owe a little bit more money or not. Operating leases and rentals, that's 5.41% over, but that's the final dollar amount too, so there won't be anything else added there. Our capital non-instructional tech hardware is over 83%, but that's mostly due to, I still need to do journal entries to move funds, or move expenditures from the general 555 to ESSER funds. Miscellaneous is currently over right now, and that is because I'm working on the credit card reconciliation, so I will need to do journal entries to move those out of there. Otherwise, everything else is on track for expenditures. The revenues, there were just two areas that were slightly over, which is admissions and student activity, which you never know what that's going to be. And then the MA revenue shows that it's quite a bit over. That dollar amount, actually BRIC, I checked with them too, recommended that they actually recommend to not budget anything for it because it can change so drastically from year to year, just depending upon different factors of students who are on MA, the services that are provided to the school district. And this year we did our partnering for speech, so that'll change next year too. And then we went over that I completed elementary buildings and grounds, AD community education, food service, and ITV budget meetings for FY23. High school and transportation, we still need to meet. What else did we discuss? I received the SPED breakdown from BRIC last week, so I'll be working on getting a journal entry posted within the next couple weeks to move those expenditures around. And then we went over that this year we most likely will spend the $750,000 in federal dollars, which means that we'll have to have a single audit this year. So I did reach out to our auditors just to see how that would work for sure. And basically, they'll just put it in the engagement letter if we think that we're going to spend over that dollar amount, and they actually just do it for us during our audit. So, otherwise, I think that's all. You guys have any questions? The two that weren't there? You can always email me too with questions as far as looking at the budget report or anything like that too. Alright, that's all I have.
All right, we'll move on to see what's going on with activities and community ed.
Yeah, and I have a late just outline version, so this is a page floating around at the end of your packet. So I was not here last month because I was at the annual AD conference for Minnesota ADs. Was an incredibly valuable experience. I continue to be impressed with the organization that puts this on. It's called the MNIAAA, Minnesota Interscholastic, something, there's too many letters. Anyway, it's an independent organization, not the state high school league that puts this on. They also put on the new AD conference I went to in August. Good at catering the information to both small schools, big schools, good at kind of helping people connect with people who are outside your immediate sphere of influence. So I would say that is the most significant piece of information I can bring back is connections and being able to ask specific questions to specific problems across schools, especially as I'm new in the game in terms of figuring out what's there. I went to a lot of breakout sessions, but the two that stood out, one was on evaluation, and nothing that we will institute this year, but got a really impressive packet on effective evaluation tools for programming. And as you have seen, and as we all know, evaluation is a really difficult game because you don't want to ask too much, you don't want to ask too little. What are effective questions to ask your students and coaches about the success of your program? And so invaluable to hear from a program like Hopkins, which I think was the number 9 largest school in the state, and to see that their evaluation tool was actually quite simple. And we won't necessarily use the exact questions, but 7 questions and things like, did you have fun this year? Which to me is very simple and yet indicative of what your students are getting out of an activity. And so that's a precursor to what we will institute next year. And of course that will get vetted by our athletics committee and all of that. But he then, took that kind of information and broke it down into these metrics, and you get a score for each team and in each program, which includes your winning percentage. We won't go that far. But I am appreciative of that crowd who doesn't necessarily say, hey, this is my piece of information and you got to figure it out on your own. Freely was just like passing out surveys and models and emailed us the Excel spreadsheet that figured all this out for him. Just a really collegial group in terms of sharing that information. So the other one was coaching development, talking about how do you onboard new coaches and get them kind of into the groove of the culture and the system that you have at your school and the ways that you want to promote the quality aspects of coaching. So a lot of good information. The connections are invaluable and have even leaned on a couple of those since I've come back, especially as we're facing the spring we're currently having, which is what I will jump into next. As you can imagine, it's been an incredibly slow spring for sports. You follow our Facebook feed, I feel like such a naysayer. Postpone. The only saving grace I'll take in the whole thing is that we are not alone. Literally the entire northern half of the state who is feeling this. And I'm encouraged by things like our conference, our baseball and softball are in the same conference, and our conference ADs are getting together in Cass Lake on Wednesday in person to collectively sit down and say, how do we figure out this reschedule? Because it could turn into a pretty unfair situation if somebody's fields are ready and somebody else's fields are not, which is kind of happening depending on where you're at and what your field situation is. So we'll see what comes from that on Wednesday. I am hopeful for a softball game on Thursday. I think if we get some warm weather and no precipitation, it's possible that field will dry out in time, but we'll see. If it works, we would have a triad between us, Indus, and LaPorte here on Thursday, where Indus would play LaPorte and then we would play LaPorte. And then Indus and we also play at some point, probably not on Thursday.
Or just hope for a frozen field, and that way.
Right, I asked that question. I was like, if it's frozen, it's playable. I mean, just wear some shin pads, right? Okay. The baseball fields are a little bit further away, but again, I'm hopeful that this meeting on Wednesday will give us some creative solutions to at least start playing. One of those is things like Bagley is going to Pine River. We were supposed to play Pine River tomorrow. Bagley is going to Pine River on Thursday. I called Pine River up and said, if it's doable, can we come to Pine River too? Because LaPorte's fields where we're going are not going to be good. So it's just this, I mean, it's just a gigantic, I called it a big old Frogger game, which I don't know if that's exactly true, but that's what it feels like right now. I will say, in the midst of all of this, I give a ton of credit to our students, especially all of them, for being as patient as they are. the baseball and softball teams are stuck in that gym and have been for the last 6 weeks. And if you've ever practiced softball or baseball in a gym, it is endlessly monotonous because you're limited. You're just so limited in what you can do. And they have had, they're frustrated for sure, but strong spirits. They understand that that's what's got to happen. Our golf teams are just now starting this week. So similarly, have not been griping, have just been really positive, and I appreciate that. Especially the new AD, I feel like it could have been parents too. I mean, I've gotten 0 frustrated calls from parents. So I'm grateful for that, because I think that it could have been, is a really frustrating situation all around. So, you have the spring coaching lineup here, just as an FYI in terms of who's where. A couple of notes. Tony Browse and Chuck Merchant, connected to our esteemed high school principal, are kind of splitting the junior high baseball teams. We have a lot of junior high baseball players out, so appreciative for them for stepping up to do that. Ted Furbish, right before the season was about to start, called me to say that he would not be coaching girls golf this spring. For obvious reasons. His wife passed away shortly prior to that. I will step in to help cover the girls varsity team. I was going to be coaching the junior high team as well. The challenge is I don't have my head coaching license, so technically I cannot be responsible for a crew at a meet alone. So in order to observe that, Mike Pepera will step in and be the head coach for both teams when they're at a course together. And then we will have folks like Jill Olson or Katie Piper, both of whom are certified, will fill in at meets when they're at a course, the girls are at a course alone. And I would likely go with them anyway as the person who's going to be overseeing the team as a whole. But it's a situation that I hope that Ted knows he's welcome even to just help out this spring if he wants. And I hope, and I said this when I say I hope, I said this to him, that he is welcome back whenever he's ready. So, an incredibly unfortunate situation, and I think we're trying to take care of Ted and also do right by our girls golfers in the meantime. So, any questions on that end of it before I move to community ed? Okay.
For tomorrow, then?
Huh? Yeah. Brad also endlessly patient with all of this. Community ed, just a couple of highlights. We've the Bears Swim Club. I don't know if anyone Carla had folks involved in that. Just a great turnout for the swim club. They did 6 weeks? Was it 6 weeks?
It was 6 weeks.
Yeah.
They ended up being with their meet.
Yeah, and then they did and Lisa Beckstrand did an incredible job putting that meet. Lisa was the kind of brains behind the whole thing. Janelle Lowe's, Jenny Krause, Amy Keeman all helped out. A lot of students. I didn't check with Lisa about exactly how many, but 45. Which, if you can imagine a swim meet with 45, I mean, it was absolute chaos and totally fun.
It was like watching snakes swim.
Yeah,
all over the place.
Kindergarten through 6th grade. I mean, it really was quite an event.
They didn't always practice together. It was like kindergarten through 3rd and then 4th through 6th practice.
Yes.
But the swim meet was awesome and well put together. And
yeah, it was fun. I swam in high school here, so it brought me back to my swim meet days, which was quite fun.
But next year you could like nix the speaker. Nobody could hear.
Oh, really?
It was like, wah, 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 wah.
Yeah.
Charlie Brown's teacher was talking. That's what it kind of sounded like. Just for feedback.
Yeah. I don't think you can ever hear anything in that pool.
Gotta get a megaphone. I got one.
Yeah, sure.
For next year.
Yeah, we could try it. Anything. Putting out the registrations for summer ball. We'll do T-ball, rookie ball, and then travel and travel softball, baseball, depending on who shows up in what numbers. We'll kind of pick those or assign those travel ball teams. We are excited to have our Prairie Fire Theater event again here this summer. That'll be August 15th. There will be public performances at the end of that week, which you keep an eye out. But Excited for that. That has not happened in the last 2 years. CC has been championing that, and the performance will be Aladdin, and Joyce Washburn will be directing. So we have a local director, and then this troupe comes in to help select and then teach students in various groups their roles and their lines and all that stuff. It's a very cool event. I'm excited about it. But we've got a couple other things happening this summer. Some camps. I assume there's also some impromptu stuff that ends up happening. Ryland is putting together some summer ball for the high schoolers, which does get run through community ed. So there's volleyball camps, you know, things like all sorts of good stuff happening this summer. So, any questions about that? Great. Okay. Thank you.
We'll move on to buildings and grounds.
Just a quick update on everything going on. One of them is waiting for weather to perk up a little bit so we can get all the fields up and going. It's been an ongoing issue this year. Hopefully everything will break. We did check the track and field and jump pits and stuff. There is drains in there and it is thawed.
Oh, great.
Friday it was not, today it is. So we're gonna start pumping on that. So that means the frost is finally starting to come out.
Yeah.
So hopefully in the next couple of days, we'll be able to get out to the baseball field, get that one going, and then drag the softball field if that dries out too.
Yes, all the time.
Yeah, exactly. One of the other projects going on is preparing for window replacement, working on contacting companies and stuff to go out and get ready for that. But we did move it up in the LTFM this year to start in the 22-23 school year, because we do have at least 6 windows that need to get replaced this summer. So went through the budgeting with Crystal and we're able to do that. So now we're just in the planning phase of that one. Another weather orientated thing is coordinating for the chiller project to get the crane up here to lift the units up. They're figuring they won't be able to get up here till around June 1st because of road restrictions. Hopefully it'll be a little bit better. So that's kind of on hold now. The guys have been coming in and prepping some of the areas inside. So when it does happen, it happens very, very quickly. We get it done and on the way. Still working on energy rebate and answered some more questions. I think we're finally at that point where they're going to make a determination of how much we're going to be getting back from the gas company. Been working on that for about the last 3 months with the changing all the controls and then the chiller also. They recommended filing for a rebate because that could be pretty huge. What their huge is, well, I don't know. So I'll just keep my fingers, it's a good one. And then the last one I got, we're just starting planning for the road repair right out here by the bus garage. So we had, this winter we had the road actually collapse again in that area. And we packed it with a lot of gravel that we had laying around here just to keep it from eroding any farther. And working with Rex Block right now on the possible start time. Again, this is a weather pending thing when the frost comes out, when they're able to get in there and do that. That's about all the updates I got right now.
Are you able to confirm that it was a collapsed pipe or a hole in the pipe type thing?
No.
Just gotta dig it out and find out what's happening. Okay.
So we came up with, the game plan we came up with is we're gonna start with the 15-foot area, all sides of it, and then go from there. I'm just looking down the curb line heading east towards the gas pumps and stuff. That whole curb is sunk all the way down there. And I'm hoping we don't have, it might be a rabbit hole once we open it up, I don't know. Keep my fingers crossed. It's just gonna be within that 15-foot area. We could do that. Rex went in there and he still figures it wasn't the pipe, it was a washout along the pipe for improper packing when they put it in. That seems like quite a while when they did that, I don't know. I'm not sure of the history.
Still has to be a hole somewhere. The material's gotta move somehow. So, at any rate.
Yeah. Any questions?
I have a question. question from an old topic on the arena sign and the energy usage. Has there been any,
Not yet, Kevin Holland has just come back to work
Okay.
recently in the, last week or so. I think he was off, he broke his femur on a job. Well, he was kinda incapacitated for a little while, but I just talked to him the other day and I actually forgot to mention that. I'll get a hold of him.
Any other questions? Okay, we'll move along to transportation.
I have the answer, it says transportation committee is, or anything else under that I'm missing under my agenda.
I just threw that on there, cause we went over stuff.
Okay, I just wanna make sure I'm not missing anything. So basically, there's a lot of information about this, our underground fuel tank and, what we're gonna do with it. Basically, I know the transportation committee, a week or two ago, we discussed what we were gonna do, and to make a long story short, we have an underground diesel fuel tank, it's a 15,000 gallon tank. And it has 12,000 gallon side for diesel fuel and I think it's a 3,000 gallon side for gasoline. And the gasoline side leaked probably 10 years ago, if I remember right. We haven't used it since. So we got the 12,000 gallon diesel side. Now with some new laws that came out probably like a year or two ago, this fall you had to sign up for, it has to be a Minnesota Pollution Control accredited place to basically look after your tanks. And it's about it's $2,345 per year, and then every third year it's another $1,000 because they have to do some more testing. And I'm not going to get into that in detail. And the pedestal and the computer program that we use is out of date, and the pumps that are out there are also the same age, so they could go at any time. And to replace the fuel pump is I just asked the guy at this pollution control, and he said the average tank or pump for fuel is about $25,000 a piece. So we'd have to pay for that, and then it would be the fuel master, the encoder software, labor and expenses, and mileage for this equipment would be about $22,000 just to replace the pedestal and the computer program. So you're looking at roughly about, numbers here, about $50,000 or so to keep our fuel system going, and then we have the 20-year-old tank, which tanks usually last roughly around 20 to 30 years. So we're 3/4 of the way through the life of the tank, and so we put $50,000 into this to keep fuel on site, and our tanks go bad, and that's $250,000 roughly to replace the tank if we have to dig it up and put a new one in. And I figure with fuel savings, so we have less routes. We're using roughly 22 to 24,000 gallons of diesel fuel before COVID, and now we use 2 gas buses on our routes. Plus we're down 2 routes, so we're roughly using about 10,000 gallons less diesel fuel a year now. And so I kind of figure out that our cost savings by buying diesel from the rack, which is, like they charge people that have fuel stations, we're saving about $6,488 a year, but you minus the annual fee that we have to pay, and it's about $4,143 a year. So, and 3 of my 8 routes use gas buses, which we have to pay for at the pump, which is basically what it comes down to is 10 cents off a gallon. for gasoline right now than what we would pay at the pump. And then, the same would go for, dyed diesel. We pay 10 cents below the dyed diesel, which is roughly, there's a lot of numbers, but I had to get here to get this all figured out. So on the day I did this, which was 4/4/2022, price at the pump for dyed diesel was $4.56, so it'd be $4.46 was what we'd be paying. Price of dyed diesel delivered is $3.85 plus 15 cents delivery charge per gallon, so roughly $4. So we're saving 46 cents per gallon by getting it delivered. But when you weigh everything else out on it, we're it would take us, I think I said like 7 years to. I got so much information here, it's hard to pick from it, but I just know from doing it. But it was gonna take us like 7-8 years before we'd even pay for the $15,000 for the fuel pumps, or the fuel pumps, tanks, and the pedestal and computer program and all that stuff. So basically, I think we're rolling the dice by keeping the tanks, and it's gonna be a little bit more of a pain in the butt to have to go to town to get diesel, but I hate to put $50,000 into a 20-some-year-old fuel tank that's underneath there. And the downside of having to abandon our tank is we have to get it taken out, which is on the estimate that I got would be. It's roughly like $25,000 or so. Removal bid, $19,815 to take the tank out. That's the. And Seth and I talked that we'd get rid of that whole fuel island and kind of vacate it, just put tar there so it's just for snow removal, so it's kind of a pain in the butt to move going on that. And so I kind of got like I kind of wrote down here estimated cost per scenario over 10 years. Saves an estimate $4,143 per school year in fuel costs. Will cost, this is keeping the tank, will cost $47,748 to upgrade the pump and fuel pedestal system. It would take 12.5 years of fuel savings to cover the cost of keeping the underground diesel tank. Abandoned tank, school spends rough estimate of $4,143 more on diesel fuel per year. School saves an estimated $27,748 by abandoning the fuel tanks. With total savings by abandoning the tank, it would cover the extra fuel costs for roughly 6.5 years. Well, 6.5 years we would be at a wash, so then you assess my 10-year outlook there. And then I just had some key notes here that I wanted to talk about. I already kind of talked about, if we redo the fuel tank, or redo all the fuel systems, but keep the tank, what we're looking at, then $250,000. It would take 75 years in fuel savings costs to recoup that. The other thing I was going to ask, and I thought I might have brought up to Crystal, but what do we pay as far as extra insurance to have fuel stored on site? I don't know, is there a cost? I'm not sure. I would imagine there was. And this is kind of the numbers that the Brian Olson from the Minnesota Pollution Control Agency said. It would cost that with the cost of yearly maintenance installation of fuel storage systems, we would have to use 200,000. This is what you tell like new customers, that you would have to use over like 200,000 gallons per year to make it with all the new rules and what it costs to put your tank in and what everything. That if you're not using 200,000 gallons plus, it's not feasible to have your own tank with all the cost of everything. And I already talked that we're going to be probably using about 10,000 gallons less of fuel. And I'm already running the town to fuel up 3 or 4 Suburbans and 3 gas buses right now, so it's not something that I don't think I can handle. And like I said, I'm going to get some fuel car, if we go abandon the tank, I'm gonna get some fuel cards that when I'm gone, that I can give, leave in the bus garage, that if the driver has to go fuel his bus up, he can use the fuel cards. Then I thought about storing fuel on site. I looked on the pollution control, you can store 110 gallons on site without having to do all the rigmarole and testing and stuff like that. So I figured, Steph and I talked, we'll get a split tank to put in the plow truck where it's got like 50 gallons of gas and 50 gallons of diesel or whatnot. So we can always have fuel on site, and then we can just go and fill them up as needed. So we have diesel for whatever lawnmowers we have and Bobcats, and gas for lawnmowers and stuff like that, so we're not constantly running to town. So I thought that would be a good idea to do that, and I know we had a fuel tank in the old plow truck, but Dale said it's kind of rusted out, and they just didn't replace it, but. Other than that, it was a mouthful. Does anybody have any questions? I didn't want to leave anything out, so. I mean, I could have read this thing verbatim for the whole thing, a half hour, but.
I know the consensus of the committee was pretty much, yeah, it's the way the rules are coming up and everything, it's just get rid of it.
And then if you have a spill or
Yeah.
something, that's even more.
Like right now, we have a
dangerous.
sump pump pumping like 24/7 off the baffles for the tank right now. Like it never quits. So we're running that too, and it's kind of a no-brainer, but I wanted to have it in there because in case it rained.
Cause it's change.
So,
What's the timeline after
Well,
tonight as far as getting it
I
yanked out
wanted
of
to
there?
get, as soon as I get the okay, I was gonna tell these guys to line up. So last fall, I got this bid from this Valley Petroleum, and they had to get a contractor around here, and they called every contractor. This is fall, so you know these contractors, construction guys, they don't answer the phone. So I said, well, call this guy, it's a cell phone, I'm gonna call him, I'm gonna tell him you're calling him, so you can get this bid done, so I can get this figured out. So I ended up calling the contractor and saying, hey, could you at least give this guy a price so I can get this bid done? And then I said, I called the guy from Valley Petroleum and Fargo, I said, yeah, call the guy, he's gonna answer the phone, I told him to call him, so. So hopefully he can get us on the schedule. We have 1 year from vacating it to get it out. So what do they call vacating? I don't know, maybe we wait and see when the guy can get here and do it, and we might have to, I don't know what officially,
So the tank, 100% for sure has to come out.
yeah.
There's no other,
You can fill it with like sediment stuff or cement, but the guy's like, basically, I don't remember why he talked me out of it, but he's like, it's not even feasible. They have and maybe that's for like if it's somewhere really bad and you can't get to it or something, I don't know. They have this other way you can fill the whole thing up with. You have to make,
I would assume you'd continue, if you still have a tank in the ground, you'd continue to have to test
well,
for
you have
pollution
to,
control beyond, if it's
well, I know
gone, then it's
when they
gone.
move the tank, they test the soil around it. I think you have to go until there's no like fuel in the ground, and I mean, yeah, and then. You
And
can
if
actually
there
fill
is
it-
fuel
fill
in
it. I
it,
didn't even
you
go
test
into it, 'cause the guy's
wells.
like, it's not feasible for you, so I said, why waste my time on it, but they have this thing where you can fill it, but the guy, and I don't even remember it was last fall when I was talking about it, so I don't really know what he said, why we couldn't do it, but.
Is there a benefit of timing that coincide with replacing that road and fixing that up, so it's all done at once? Or does that not?
Well, we
Not
didn't
that
talk about that.
wouldn't matter either way.
I don't
No,
think,
there's quite a bit of distance between the two.
and I don't think he wanted to wait for my guy to get his poop in the roof. And then,
well, it'd be two different companies out there one time, right?
well, they're using they have their own guys that come and do it, but they use a private contractor from the area.
To haul
And
the
they have to
stuff
find
out.
somebody to take the tank.
Yep.
Then that person that takes the tank has to sign that they're not gonna reuse it, or it's gonna be scrapped, and then.
Unless you're gonna rip off the.
There's about a 40-page thing, if you really wanna read it, go on Minnesota Pollution Control, and then
Eventually,
read up on
state
rules.
takes out, it's gonna take over half that island. So we're gonna get that out of the way since it's not gonna be used.
How much fuel do you have left in the tank?
I told, the warning light's on,
Okay,
for all fuel, I told Bill not to kill it.
that's good.
I figured it was good.
That's
I
a
told
good
Bill
thing.
like 3 months ago not to do it. I said, until we get the for sure answer, and then I kinda knew he was going for this, so I told Dale, I said, he's hoping it's about empty at the end of he figures, when I asked him a couple months ago, he said, we'd be lucky to make it to the it's empty, and then we can just start going to town until then we get the thing empty, and then, I don't know when we gotta mark the actual vacate, because we probably wanna be careful with that, because we can't get a contractor here, we may have to, I don't think we're nowadays, it's hard to get people, but
So, do you have to put it out for bid yet, or do you have
it's not over,
75.
yeah, okay, 175. I asked Chris for that.
So you're gonna go with this guy you were talking to?
The Valley Patrol, I was assuming it's the closest one to here, the guys over at Grand Forks. There's Grand Forks and Fargo. Grand Forks is more like sales, and then Fargo is more like logistics. So I've talked to both.
And they'll take care of the tank and everything once it's
Yeah.
out of the ground and.
Well, we gotta, I think, like, we gotta facilitate this procedure a little bit with our community, like, using, private contractors, and then we have to find somewhere to put the tank, and I don't know, if the dump will take it, or what we gotta do. No idea.
Well, it's a matter, that would be letting it sit there.
Like, would they
or-
sell the tank? Like, you wanna turn around and sell the tank? Or
Give it
just,
away.
you gotta give it away?
I don't know, I mean, the guys have to find somewhere that will legally take the tank, and haven't looked into it that far.
So that 20,000 is just yanking it out of the ground.
Yanking on the ground, yeah, it's all, there was a bunch of fees in there, if I looked at, I got the bid right here.
Except you can't use it
So
for
it
fuel.
says,
No, I know. Cody, Kevin, Kevin.
subcontractor for excavation, concrete wall hauling, installing, travel time, mileage, equipment rental, substance, single barrel waste materials for disposal, so that's what they're talking about, then we have to pay per gallon for fuel that's left in there.
Anything that's left in there, we should be able to transfer over to the, our backup.
Right. Exactly, good idea. Yeah, so I mean, I haven't tore
You
this
really
apart,
buy from you if you want to.
but I'm
The
guessing
other
that.
extra
I'm gonna have
diesel
to,
you
you know,
Yeah.
facilitate a little bit and do maybe some. No, I haven't talked to him since October, November, but, I know he said something about you have to find a suitable place for the tank. I thought, why not Gary Fish, he knows it.
That's a very good possibility. Any scrap or
Yeah, they come,
come cut it up, get it out of here.
Cody and
double
Kevin
wall,
take
so-
scrap too.
huh?
Cody and Kevin,
Yeah.
They take
maybe
scrap
we-
too.
You know, I don't.
I was
Depends on
looking for a
that
good.
one.
I
Highest bidder
I-
then.
Well, dealing with the pollution control and PCA, it's like,
Just make it go.
like I said,
Just
they
make
have
it
a
go.
10-page thing about every piece of this whole problem, which I've read the majority of.
Do you have two quotes?
No, I do not.
Okay,
We need
you're gonna have to get two quotes. If it's over 25, we need two quotes regardless of location.
Okay,
And then,
we're at 19 now.
Okay.
Cause I asked, cause I remember bringing this up to Crystal, I said, I need to get another quote,
Everything is-
because you're under the whatever mark. Who knows? If it goes above 25, then we'll have to.
Prices may have gone up.
That's what I'm saying, I might have to get have this guy rebid it.
I can tell you, if any of that soil is contaminated, you get to box it all up and ship it to, I think, the closest place is like Duluth or something, to process it.
Yeah,
I think Fargo is.
I have,
That's
yeah.
It could be Fargo. Yeah.
Could be more than what we anticipate.
Well, hopefully it's not contaminated. Gas is 10 years ago, hopefully it's not now.
Anybody wanna keep the tank? No? Okay, we're good, keep going with getting rid of the
Get rid
tank.
of it and pray,
I'll get on the horn.
pray that there's no
Ball
further
and-
contamination.
I like the idea of having our own private fuel tank, but not for those costs and the MPC and all the other things. It's,
Not one time it works and it doesn't work.
yeah.
Then, I don't wanna keep anybody here, but the road's stuck on the gravel right now, my driver said that.
They're terrible.
Make Dennis put in figure two and go back. And, I got 2 drivers signed up to take some driver training, one at a substitute level and one at possibly a full-time level to take some training and deeper follow the new rules that we had for CDL, so I'm kind of, pumped about that, so hopefully everything works out there, so I could use one more full-timer for next year.
It's a one-day training.
One-day training so that we can take the test.
So if we coordinate people going, the cost per
Well,
person
$600 regardless, so.
for the whole class.
That's the whole class, so if
You get
like
10
if a
people.
school from a different area, get some people coming, it might
Yeah.
be less, but if we just send our 2 people there, that's the only ones going, then we're paying $200.
Yeah.
But if, 3 or 4 schools around the area, get some people there, it's $600 split between all the.
It's not as bad as I thought it might be.
No, and then,
Well, and Brian said he could let you know when
Right, I
he had
just
other
got an
people
email.
coming. Right,
he
Brian?
didn't email me,
Yep.
but he emailed,
Okay.
Crystal information, May 25th. And I've told both the people that are interested that it would be at the end of May, so I'm gonna read through the email I just got this afternoon, so I know all the questions they're gonna ask me, and then I'll forward it to them.
He had about 6 or 7 dates.
Yeah.
So offering classes, so.
So I'm kinda excited that Ryan's kinda heading that to Northwest, whatever it's called, co-op, and it makes it pretty easier for me to send somebody over there. I didn't really know what it entailed, so. That's all I got, so, sorry it took so much time, we'll talk here. Hopefully never talk
Timing
about
is
it again.
perfect.
Yep, worked out nicely. Anybody got anything else for working session? Then we'll adjourn with the working session. Anybody need a couple of minutes break? What's that?
Not needed.
We always need you, Seth, but not for this next stage, I don't think.
Curse.
All right, well, in that case, let's,
Public hearing.
okay, oh, it's not quite yet. We'll call it 7 PM. Do we need to close? I guess we haven't opened anything. So we'll open it for public hearing on resolution for adoption of school board districts.
We have a lot of people here, so. So this should take about 3 seconds. So the resolution is in your packet. And the descriptions for each district is the same as when, about a year ago, when we allocate the election sites. So nothing has changed within the district boundaries, everything stays the same. So we just need to go through the formal process of approving the resolution. Any questions?
Got that one, same as it ever was.
And I don't think we have any public comment for the hearing, so
Okay,
I would
Close
close
it,
the
or-
hearing and
okay.
open the school board meeting.
Guess we will effectively go to open the meeting at 7 PM and we're closing it at 7:01. And in that case, we will call to order at 7:01 and we'll do the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
See if I remember how to do this. Need a motion and a second to approve the agenda.
I'll make a motion.
I'll second it.
Motion by Sonstegard, second by Rubina.
Yes.
Who's made? You made
Yes,
it?
sorry. Yep.
Any discussion? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries unanimously. I need a motion and a second to approve the consent agenda as presented with the addition of Darlene Durbin, assistant cook, A2, step 4.
I'll make that motion.
Motion by Ellis,
I'll second.
second by Trask. Discussion? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries unanimously. Let's see, now are these one at a time or all together?
You just approve them all.
Oh, we just approved, yeah, okay, those are the ones we just
I do
did.
have one question.
Uh-huh.
Have we already put an ad out for the special ed and the high school social studies? Or will it go out tomorrow? The resignations?
Well, we have the social study, don't
We're
we?
hiring them,
Yeah.
yeah, that's Adam Matthews.
No, that's a different social
Oh, it
studies,
is?
I believe, isn't it?
No,
No,
It
as,
isn't.
as soon as.
Boy, you
as-
are quick.
Because we have two resignations.
I thought that was the other one.
We have two resignation, or retirement and resignation, and two rehires already,
For
correct?
social
Okay.
studies.
Yeah.
But how, and the
But for
special
the special
is that
ed, we don't
already
have,
covered
do we?
too?
No, I
Okay.
posted it. but
Okay,
we
I'm
have
just
had-
checking.
No, I'm glad you, they posted it, but nobody has
Okay,
applied
I'm
yet.
sorry that I missed my,
Good question. I
missed
was
the
wondering.
opportunity, but.
The ink wasn't even dry on their letters, was it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Play, so.
Board presenters, none. Written communications, none. Old business, any old business? None. New business, we have resolution 2021-2022-014, resolution for adoption of school board districts. I need a motion and a second.
I'll make that motion.
Motion by Ellis,
Robita will second.
second by Robita. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries unanimously. Need approval, let's see, I need a motion and second for the approval of the 2022 through 2023 school calendar.
I'll make a motion.
Motion by Sonstegard,
I'll second.
second by Ellis. Any discussion on that?
I just have a question, like curiosity. How many days are we allowed to have off, like holidays and stuff throughout the school year?
It's 180 teacher contract days, we have 172 student contact days.
Okay.
So as long as you get your 172 days in with the kids, you can stretch that out as long as you want.
Oh, okay. Well, I was just curious because I was like counting the days off for holidays and stuff, and it was like 15 total days off, and I didn't know if that was like how that gets predetermined. We're allowed so many.
So
Or
just
whatever.
count the 172 days and then the 8 in-service days for the teachers.
Oh, okay.
That's not
And I
Okay.
didn't see anything drastically different from normal.
No, the only thing was where Martin Luther King Day was off.
this year.
This coming,
It moved it back to
Yeah.
next year.
because I know there were some parents that didn't like that. I don't know if that was a determining reason, but yeah,
There's a few reasons that we tried that. So
yeah.
it was an experience.
In Deer Days.
Yeah.
I can imagine Deer Day, you gotta,
Yeah, because there was, from what I understood, there was a lot of people thrown by that.
They were-
That it wasn't off and they thought it was, and they were like, oh. And it was more staff than students, I think.
Yes, because students realized they get their homework, they make it up. There's a counted school day. The students didn't mind, it was staff.
And that was the
Oh,
biggest point of
yes,
discussion
yes.
at the committee.
There was some
meeting
just
as to
assuming
whether-
instead of looking.
and I suppose the type of thing, like if we had arbitrarily 10 snow days or something like that, so then that means you get to put 10 days on the spring, basically.
Well, and now because of the online, we
In
don't
May,
have the
we'll
snow
approve our
days.
e-learning plan in May.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
So that'll be 5 days that you can do the
Uh-huh.
e-learning days.
Interesting.
Plus we have a few, we don't have a lot built in for this calendar, but as far as snow days, we'll take probably Easter Friday, or Good Friday, we stay there Monday, that's what I have.
We'll take our snow days in May
those
at the
are
rate
bad.
we're going.
Yeah, I know.
Okay.
I hope I'm joking. That was,
Not funny, boy.
that was a discussion, right?
Yes,
Okay.
sorry.
No problem whatsoever, just lost track there. Motion second.
All in favor, I think.
Oh yeah, we're at the all in favor part. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries unanimously. I need a motion to approve the removal of the underground fuel tank as was described by Mr. Abbey. Need a motion and a second.
I'll make that motion.
Motion by Ellis,
I'll second.
second by Sonstegard. Discussion on that?
This bid that he got last October is good for how long?
I'd say it's a quote.
Yeah, he was saying.
And it's probably not good, I would guess,
Yeah.
but it
Yeah.
gives a ballpark.
I
for
think
that.
that's why he said it could be up to 25 was, you
Yeah,
know, because it's an older,
Yeah, so,
Then you would have to get two separate.
yeah.
yeah,
And it
Yeah.
doesn't include disposal of the tank.
well, that disposal a little on the odd part. Normally, if you're hiring
Quote
a-
for removal would be included.
kind of a pro company for disposal, they should be able to tell you how you can dispose it, I would think.
I guess my thoughts are I'd like to see something in writing from them as far as what,
What you're approving is for him to move forward with gathering the quotes.
okay, if
Doing
it's
it.
just that,
This,
yeah,
we're
we're
just
not
moving-
making a formal decision
Are
on,
we gonna, basically the question is keep the tank or get rid of it?
Yeah.
The board is saying get rid of it.
gotcha, okay,
Get the quotes and figure out what it's worth.
We're not approving money amounts right now.
So,
then I'm, okay.
Now relax.
All right, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries unanimously. Need approval of funding request forms. Motion and a second.
I'll motion it.
Motion by Rabina,
Second, Trask?
second by Trask. Any discussion on that one? Okay, hearing none, all,
I have one comment.
okay,
It also looks to me, oh, no, forget it. I was
Wait for it.
looking at- You're good.
okay. All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 All opposed, same sign. Motion carries unanimously. Okay, need a motion and a second for the approval and adoption of revised policies. 206, public participation, 211, criminal or civil action, 414, mandatory reporting of child neglect, 423, employee-student relations, 519, interviews of students by outside agencies, 532, use of peace officers and crisis teams, 603, curriculum development, 604, instructional curriculum, well, that's kind of funny, 605, alternative program, 606, textbook and instructional materials, 607, organization of grade levels, 608, instructional services, special education, 609, religion, 611, homeschooling, 613, graduation requirements, 614, school district testing, plan and procedures, 615, testing accommodations. Need a motion and a second for all of that.
I'll make the motion.
Motion by Trask,
I'll second it.
second by Ellis. Any discussion on all of that? All right, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries unanimously. Got any other business? Okay, then we'll go with meeting adjourned at 7:11. Oh, do we have one of those peach?
Jim's gonna be back for the resolution.